Yeah, what's good, gang? Top back with another video, and today, boys, we are talking about the Arizona Cardinals, man. In our series of what would I do in the off season if I were these teams. Basically, we're going from worst to first. So I already did the Texans and the Bears. If you're a fan of those, go check them out. Subscribe to see your team whenever I eventually do them. Like I said, we're gonna go all the way from the first overall pick to the Super Bowl winner. So yeah, talking about the Cardinals, a team I'm kind of familiar with. The Niners play them twice a year. You know, I'm a Niners fan. We're gonna be talking about free agency a lot with this team. They're losing so many. Well, they have a lot of players up for free agency. I don't know if they're gonna resign. They fired Cliff Kingsbury yesterday. I don't really have. I don't know too much about coaching, so I didn't make a list of like coaching candidates. D'Amico Ryan's the Niners defensive coordinator. I bet is gonna be one, but I don't know. um, but the Cardinals finished the year 4-13, not very good. We'll talk kind of. Well, yeah, let's just get into it. JJ Watt retired. That's a big loss for them. Shout out to JJ Watt though. He had 2 sacks against the Niners. In his final game. You know. That's gonna be leave a big hole for these Cardinals, man. This team has a lot of holes. Their needs I got listed is interior offensive line, cornerback, edge, and D tackle. So yeah, like I said, they lost JJ Watt to retirement. Shout out to him. And upcoming free agents, man. They have Rodney Hudson, Justin Pugh, Kelvin Beachum, Byron Murphy, Cody Ford, Will Hernandez, Billy Price, Max Garcia, Zach Allen. There's more. There's a crap ton that I really couldn't mention. Basically, they have DJ Humphries who finished. He was on IR. But he will probably be the left tackle next year. After that, they're losing their starting guards, their starting center, and their starting right tackle. With their free agents, Rodney Hudson will talk. I would let him walk. He's been injured, I think, like both years he's been on the Cardinals. He really hasn't played that much. And he's older. I could see him retiring even. But I would let him walk. He's a good center when he's healthy, but he just hasn't been healthy, man. It's hard. It's hard to pay a guy when he's not playing. Justin Pugh, kind of the same thing. I think he finished the year on IR as well. I think he's had some injury issues. He's older. I would move on from him as well. Same with Kelvin Beachum. I think he was the only watching the Niners game. Him and Jalen Thompson, right, are the only like that. Sorry if my camera looks all weird. I don't really record during the day like that. But him and Jalen Thompson and is that better? I don't even know. Jalen Thompson and Kelvin Beachum were the only players to like play the whole year, which is kind of wild. So I would let him walk though. He's an okay tackle. He's not the greatest though. Cody Ford, who came in, I think for Justin Pugh, he's a free agent. Will Hernandez is a free agent. Billy Price is a free agent who came in and was the starting center because Rodney Hudson was hurt. Uh, I would Cody Ford, Will Hernandez, and Billy Price. I could see them resigning one of those guys. I think the other two walk. I think you could upgrade in free agency. And also honestly, it depends on what the coach wants to do. What kind of scheme they bring in and all that stuff. And then Max Garcia, who I know started for him last year, I think, and then I think he's a free agent, so coming up. And then we also have Zach Allen, a good edge rusher, or kind of he's been a solid edge, kind of interior guy in between. Plays kind of both. He's been solid though. I would like to see him stay, but I think they should let Byron Murphy is the one I say resign him. Byron Murphy's solid. It's hard to get corners. Your corners aren't that good already. Resign Byron Murphy. Um, and then after that, I see them resigning Cody Ford or Will Hernandez. And then after that, I would let everybody else walk, dude, and try to bring in better talent through the draft and the free agency. So in this case, in my scenario, I would resign Byron Murphy. Um, and try to get Zach Allen back if you can. I know there's going to probably be a lot of interest in him. So resign Byron Murphy and then resign Cody Ford or Will Hernandez, either one of those two. But then with that, it leaves a hole. DJ Humphries is the only plus starter. Everybody now you got to find basically a whole offensive line. We're gonna start with tackle. Basically to play right tackle because DJ Humphries is a left tackle. I got two guys that are left tackles in the right as of right now. And Isaiah Wynn, Andre Dillard, both first round picks. Dillard really didn't get to play for the Eagles because of injuries, and then Jordan Mailata kind of showed out and just locked down that spot. So Dillard really never got a chance. I think he could be a solid player. I know he would have to move to right tackle, so it could be difficult for him. But he could be a solid uh position right there. He's a guy that was a first round draft pick. He's like 27 years old. As the when the season, well, I think as of September 1st or something like that. So he could be you could get a decent player that just really hasn't got a chance. And the same thing with kind of Isaiah Wynn. I think he's been solid for the Patriots, but he's been hurt a lot. But he would have to slide over to right tackle. I think he's actually played right tackle a little bit with New England because Trent Brown's their left tackle. So either one of those guys, both former first round picks, kind of didn't get on the field a lot. You could see them play high level snaps, or they could be okay. Um, and then we got guys that are right tackles as of right now. Mike McGlinchey of the Niners. I watched Mike McGlinchey a lot. He gets a penalty, a little bit of penalties. He looked good his first 2 years, and then after that, it's kind of went downhill a little bit. Good run blocker though, and I think that's something the Cardinals should lean into a little bit more. But I don't think Mike McGlinchey. There's lot of teams that might pay him a lot of money, and I could see him going back to the Niners too. And Jawan Taylor, for the Bills. No, not Bills. Jacksonville. What the hell? For the Jags. I think he was an early second round pick. Not really, hasn't really showed too much, but he is a guy that has played right tackle. He could improve. He showed that he can be good, and other times he's not. So you're kind of taking a risk with Isaiah Wynn, Dillard, and Jawan Taylor. They're all, high overall draft picks that really haven't done much, or whether it's injuries or they just really haven't got on the field, or they haven't played the greatest like Jawan Taylor. Jawan Taylor showed flashes of being solid, but then other times, eh. So, but you kind of need to take a risk at that point at the right tackle because Kelvin Beacham's not going to cut it. There is Orlando Brown, but you would have to slide him to right tackle. He played left tackle. I think he played right tackle for the Ravens, though. I heard he wanted a lot of money, though, from the Chiefs, and I could see the Chiefs re-signing him. So that's as of right now, I would take a risk on any of those four guys. Maybe Mike McGlinchey because he's gonna be more expensive. But Dillard, Isaiah Wynn, and Jawan Taylor, I could see being on a cheaper like 2-3 year deal. And if they turn out, they turn out. It's awesome. But yeah. So let's move on to guard. Right now, like I said, I would resign Will Hernandez or Cody Ford personally, one of the two, just whichever one. They're about on the same level to me. Resign one of them and then sign another guy in free agency. Daniel Brunskill is a guy as a Niner fan. He's solid. But he's very. If you have him if you sign both Cody Ford and Will Hernandez, then he signed Daniel Brunskill. Brunskill's a guy that could play either guard position. He plays them pretty well, or he could be a starter for you. I like him. He's he moves back and forth. He could play either one, like I said, and he's solid. Isaac Semalu, he's is on the Eagles. He's been a big part of the run game. Good run blocker. Okay pass blocker. I think he's at a good. He hasn't been the starter for a lot of the time for the Eagles, but now he stepped in and he actually looks pretty good. So I would consider that. Yeah, defensive tackle though. So let's move on to D tackle. You're losing J.J. Watt, who kind of plays edge / D tackle. He's another same with Zach Allen, another kind of in between guy. They bounce back and forth. But you're gonna need some run help. In that interior. I think Matt Ioannidis as from the Panthers would be good. He was really good in Washington. I don't know how he's been on the Panthers. I think he would be a good signing though, and he would help and put up some good numbers. Same with Ashawn Robinson from the Rams. With Aaron Donald out, he was kind of the main piece in their run game and stopping the run. And I think either of those guys would really help that interior of that defensive line. Oh, I should have not have skipped this, but we're going to go on to center. I would let Rodney Hudson walk in free agency because he's been injured. I like Ethan Pokic from the Cleveland Browns. He's actually had a solid year after they let J.C. Treader go. And I would look to sign him. He's an older guy. I think he's like 27, 28, maybe 29. I don't know. And then Bradley Bozeman. Who the hell is he on? Oh my god. I think he's from is he on the Panthers? I don't know. I would look to add a center though, just because Ronnie Hudson's been hurt. Like I said, either of those guys would be fine in my opinion. So, And then moving on to the cornerback position, you better resign Byron Murphy. And then after that, they're kind of really weak. Marco Wilson's showed to be good at points. I don't even know who else is really on the roster. I'm gonna be keeping 100 with you. Um, at the cornerback position, I would look to resign, bring back Patrick Peterson. I think he could do it. I think he could take a cheap veteran deal, return to Arizona, where he played for a long time and was really good. Not quite the same level of player he used to be, but I think he could return. I would like to see him return to the Cardinals. Greedy Williams is a guy who's kind of struggled with injuries. The Browns look like they're moving on for him because they drafted Martin Emerson. They have Denzel Ward, and who's that other kid? Greg Newsome? Yeah. Um, I think they're going to move on from him. So I think Gritty Williams is a guy who really hasn't had a shot. I really liked him as a draft prospect. I know he's not the most physical or whatever, and he's been injured a lot. So it's kind of taking a risk, but I would like to see him. I think he could play positive snaps for you on a team. And same with Amari Orarie. He was last year on the with Jeff Okudah being injured. He was the best corner on that team for the Lions, and he played really good. And I thought him and Jeff Okudah were going to be a great duo. And then he kind of not fell off a cliff, but he didn't play as well as he did this as last year. He played really good. This year he didn't play as well, but I think he could be. He's like 6'2". He could be an option for a number one corner. I think he could play well for you. And then you're going to need edge rusher. Losing Zach Allen and JJ Watt could be huge. Marcus Davenport of the Saints, I think he's like 26. He's kind of suffered with injuries too a little bit, but he's a guy who has had a big upside coming out of what was he? He came out of some small school. I can't really remember though. Has like a road runner on it, I think. Was it UTSA? It was not UTSA. I don't even. My bad. Um, but he's been shown flashes at times, and I think he could add that speed to your edge. Same with Yannick Ngakwe. He's kind of bounced around teams, but he's a good edge rusher. He's not the best in the run game, but if you need a pass rush specialist, there's your guy. And same with Artie Key, kind of a rotational player. I saw him on the Niners. He played really well. Same with the Jags. Good rotational guy, gives you good pass rush snaps. But yeah, that's really what I would look to add in free agency. One or two of those guys from that I've mentioned at the positions of need. And in the draft, you pick at number 3 overall. Unless it's Will Anderson, I would trade down. Jalen Carter's cool, but I think I just don't think it helps the Cardinals that much. The Cardinals are, they got DeAndre Hopkins, who's older. They got, Kyler Murray, who just got a deal. And, I feel like they're going to want to win games. They're not going to want to just, is DeAndre Hopkins going to want to be on a rebuilding team? He did it with the Texans, but after last year where they made it to playoffs, I expected more of this team, and I expected them to keep going up. I expected them to be threats in this division with the Niners and the Rams, and they really just haven't. I chose them to make it in the playoffs over the Rams. I didn't think it was going to be the Seahawks. But does adding one of those players, yes, like Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, will improve your team, but you got so many holes on this offensive line, your corners, your edge rushers. I think if I'm trading down from the number 3 overall pick to one of these teams that want a CJ Stroud or Will Levis, because I think somebody's going to trade up with the Bears to go get Bryce Young. Because I don't the Bears ain't taking Bryce Young, but I think somebody's going to want to or Bryce Young's going to the Texans at 2. So I think one of these guys are going to want to trade up for CJ Stroud or a Will Levis with potential, and you could get a bag for him. You could get some later round picks this year, and you get like the Colts. I think they pick at 4. Oh, they're right behind you. I don't think they would trade up. Or a team like the Lions to try to jump the Colts and get their guy. You could get a lot of stuff. And you have a lot of positions of need. Like I said, basically the whole O-line besides left tackle, corner, edge, and D tackle. I would trade down and then take the best player at one of your needs. So say, I don't know, one of these offensive tackles fall, and you could just, draft him, play him at right tackle, or slide him in for a year or two. One of these corners, like Ringo, he's solid. I don't think he's one of the best corners in this game. What's the dude out of Oregon? He's pretty solid. Somebody else too. Dude out of Oregon. There's like I think there's a dude from Illinois. I don't even know. I just yeah. But there's a lot of this corner class. I really do like this corner class. So I think trading down, taking one of them and later in the round, and then getting the edge or tackle or anything. Just take the best available player at your positions of needs because you got a lot of them. You got a lot of holes on this team. The whole offensive line. If you rebuild the O line and add some guards and a tackle and a center, you know this team offense is fine. Okay, because they don't need running backs. They don't need receiver. You could use a backup running back. I'm not the biggest fan of James Conner. But I like your receivers. You got Kyler Murray. You need a O line though. Get an O line in this offense and get a good coach that can utilize Kyler Murray's talents. Let's talk about the coach real quick. I would like to see them get a guy who's kind of like the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay kind of scheme. Where yeah, Kyler Murray is not the best. He's short, right? At working the middle of the field. He's not the best at it. He kind of struggles. The spread offense and stuff, it's worked with Kyler. I think the best thing for the Cardinals to do is beef up that O line with guys and kind of lean more into the run game. Bring in a running back in the draft or free agency, and then have James Conner as your big guy. And kind of lean more into the run game. And then with the passing, get Kyler out of the pocket. Let him do some play action stuff because that's where Kyler, I feel like, can excel extremely well is getting him using his legs and his arm because that's what Kyler does the best. He's not, hitting, he got good accuracy, but he's not Tom Brady. He's not going to sit there, drop back, and make a play, or and just make the right read every time. He can't even see half his guys, bro. Like I think getting him out of the pocket, allowing him to do it, and leaning heavy on the run game would really help this team. I know because they have good weapons, and I think Kyler Murray is an awesome quarterback. I just don't think people use him. Use him kind of like how the Seahawks did with Russell Wilson with the Marshawn Lynch era. They weren't the best offensive line, but they were a good run blocking offensive line. They ran the hell out of the ball and let Russ cook whenever Russ was, that was the plan. And the same, like kind of with the Niners, man. The Niners rely. Brock Purdy the best? Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. Okay, but what makes Brock Purdy to be able to play at the level Brock Purdy could play at is the run game and all the talent around him. There is talent around Kyler Murray. Get the run game going, and it will evaluate. It will what is that word? It will improve Kyler's game. Oh, fuck, what's that? I think it starts with the E. God damn it. I want to say evaluate, but it will enhance Kyler Murray's game. It will make him better. Takes a lot of the stress off of him, and it will give him open targets. Let his guys cook. D Hops is one of the best. Throw a 50-50 up to D Hop randomly, and run the hell out of that ball. And then that makes the team a lot more dangerous. Defensively, I feel like there's a lot more holes there. Corner and edge are two probably the most important positions on defense, and then they don't even have a D tackle to stop the run. Like the Cardinals' defense was kind of ass. I ain't gonna lie. I do like Jalen Thompson and Buda Baker. I do like Isaiah Simmons. I think he's an awesome safety, linebacker, slot corner hybrid guy who I really do think can be good in this league. And then Zach Collins, that was a dumb pick. I ain't gonna hold you. But they do need to improve that defensive line, offensive line. I think offensive line and defensive line are the biggest needs. And then, because I feel like if you improve your edge rushers, it's going to help your corners. And then I think bringing in a guy like Greedy or Raurier or even Pat Pete, Greedy and Amari, they're cool. They have potential. They really haven't, Amari showed he could be a good corner. Greedy really hasn't, but he could be. And Pat Pete, I feel like Pat, you're getting the same thing you got out of Pat Pete with the Vikings this year. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would trade down in the draft and then just try to rebuild because Kyler, I feel like Kyler and D Hop aren't going to be that patient. You don't want them demanding a trade. That would be wild. But yeah, and then for head coaching, I would like a guy that leans more into the run game. You got to build that offense around or offense coordinator or whatever. You got to use Kyler to his strengths, and I think his strengths are his arm and his legs, and he's not the best at reading the middle of the field, like I said. So getting him out of the pocket and allowing him to, do his thing, where I think Kyler really excels at, kind of like the Russell Wilson, with the Prime Seahawks. But yeah, that's really it. Back it. Next up is the Colts, guys. We'll be talking about them. I should get that out for you either tomorrow or the next day. I'm gonna try to get a bunch of these videos out. So we'll be on the Colts next. And I think after that it's the Broncos. Dude, I don't know what the fuck's my camera's doing. But yeah, till next time, it's your boy Tabo. Peace.